You're listening to a Listen Frederick podcast. Local podcasts, live radio. It's Listen Frederick.
And now, your host of Steeples and Peoples podcast to tell you about all things Frederick County, Maryland. Here's Mark and Terry Meriday.
As the story goes, moving and opportunity have helped this business grow to the heights it has achieved. All it starts with is a dream and opportunity. Melissa and Eric Aellen of Linganore Wine Cellars took a break from their busy schedules and joined the Steeples and Peoples podcast to talk all things Linganore Wine Cellars. We get into the rich history that is starting its third generation. We talk about the process and the environmentally friendly changes that have transpired before anyone else even thought about them. We discuss types of wines made, including best sellers, how to book a rental, and much more on this episode. Go ahead, pour yourself your favorite glass of Linganore Wine Cellars wine, kick your feet up, and enjoy some of the things that you never knew about Linganore Wine Cellars. Plenty of space to roam, tasty beverages of your liking, whether you want to be inside or out. It doesn't matter. Where we're at today, Terry and I, actually, I was just here recently with some friends, and I absolutely love coming here. Terry, share with our audience where we are today.
Today we are at Linganore Wine Cellars with Melissa Aellen and Eric Aellen. And thank you for joining us, both of you.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, sure.
It is just beautiful day and a beautiful property that we're on here today. So Eric, start with you. Just your position and your role here.
All right, well, I am the youngest son of the Aellen clan, and my official title is vineyard manager, so I like to tell people I take care of it if it's outside.
Nice,
so whatever is outside, that's
it's
usually
yours.
under my wheelhouse.
It's yours. Melissa, your position? Or
Sure. My name is Melissa, and I'm Eric's niece, and I am winemaker along with the director of operational change.
I almost wanted to hit you with the, hello, Melissa. You know how you do that?
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and we're going to start our tour.
I haven't had my first drink since just now.
Oh my God. Terry and I are drinking some Cabernet Sauvignon from 2020. You said you made it?
Yeah, so this is from our 2020 vintage.
Oh, it's so delicious.
Cabernet Franc, actually.
Oh, yes, correct.
Okay.
Cabernet Franc.
My bad, you guys. It is so delicious.
That is good.
Oh, thank you.
Before we get into the winery, just the property itself, the farm, I'm sure it wasn't always a winery. What little history about the farm, do you know?
Fun family history. Parents were originally from Brooklyn and Queens, New York. And through my father's job transfers, we made it down into the Maryland area. My dad was a chemist and worked for NIST, National Bureau of Standards. Yep. And looking at property, or looking at a house big enough to hold 6 kids and 2 parents, my dad came up with a brilliant idea to buy a farm. So these city slickers from the Brooklyn and Queens come down here, and we start putting hay in the barn, and my dad wanted to always grow grapes, so we put in some acres. And at that time, 1972 is when we moved here. We bought it in 71. No one knew anything about growing grapes, so it was kind of hit or miss. We put in an experimental plot of like 20 some different varieties, and we started growing grapes. Wow. Then in 1974, my grandfather turned 82, and he still made 200 gallons of wine for personal consumption.
Yeah, that makes sense though to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an Italian. That makes sense to me.
And he was like, that's it. I washed my hands of this. He's like, and then he wanted to give his winemaking equipment to one of his sons, and neither one of his sons wanted it. But my dad said, I would like it. So he said, my wife's name's Lucille, but he called her Lou. He's like, Lou, we have grapes. Now we have winemaking equipment. Let's start a winery.
Guess what?
So in 1976, we were considered Western Maryland's oldest winery, And now we're not even considered Western Maryland. So I don't know what happened. But,
But
You're OGs, though.
You're the oldest winery. They can't take that from you.
That's right. That's right.
In the area.
That's an amazing story. I mean, that's really neat.
Yeah, and we started as Berry Wine Plantations. That's the corporate name. And in 1983, the federal government changed its rules and said to have a state bottled wine, you need to viticultural area. So some area within the state of Maryland that is a little different than other areas. So we did our own research. Actually, my brother, her dad, did the research to come up with the Linganore watershed. So Linganore is the name of the viticultural area, and we established it, and then we established the name Linganore Wine Cellars to go along with it. So the tail wagged the dog, and now everybody knows us as Linganore Wine Cellars, which is a fun local name and hard to pronounce, but people love it.
Eric, how much schooling did you have to like, or was this all self-taught from the family?
I went to school for information systems. So when I graduated, I could not program. I
should have been a business major.
I did not want to program, so I was like, I had the opportunity to come back to the farm and be the vineyard manager. So it's been a learning experience as we go, and we have consultants that help us along the way, both here in the winery and out in the vineyard. My son is the third generation now in the vineyard, and he went to Penn State for plant science, so he has a more understanding of the different things going on out in the field. Grapes are very repetitive, so you pretty much know year in and year out what to do and how to do it. So
it's funny. I have my undergrad degree is in economics. I like supply and demand, and like that's as far. Like I don't know anything about economics. I had to get a master's to really to teach and be in business education.
Right. I did hotel restaurant management, and I just worked too many hours, so I jumped off board.
Yeah, we're all
and I became a teacher.
It all works out.
No, it's not. No. I love the kids, but the other parts of
any
it
teacher will tell you we're there for the kids. The students but
I did like the business though. Like I think the food and beverage business is just so engaging. You guys have the kind of personality to be part of that business, and it's just not everybody who can do this. You know, when we were talking about coming here, first of all, when you said, "Yeah, let's do this," I was so excited. I really was very excited to come and talk with you guys. But the other piece of it is today, so many generations are bailing out of what their family has built over the years.
But mostly with farms.
And you guys are just building on top of you. And that's amazing to me, personally.
So I'm second vice president of Farm Bureau, Frederick County Farm Bureau, and I will in 4 years be president. And, it's sad to see Frederick County becoming Montgomery County. It's
Montgomery County North. That's what they call us.
So I mean, it's the ruralness of here and coming out. You still have, there are no developments on our Glissans Mill Road. It's 4.5 miles of farms, which is just awesome to see. And this is a 230 acre farm. So I will assure you, nothing is going to be here except for us. So
you sound like what's his name from Yellowstone. You're not putting anything in here. Kevin Costner. But we live right in the city, and it was really neat where we lived. Okay, it was in the city, but we were in a cul-de-sac. All of a sudden, they threw up all these homes behind across the street from us. And they threw in a walking trail, so you can't get there by driving. And then at the end of the street where we are, they put in
but not we have a cul-de-sac.
It's just
we used
insane.
to be able to see the Keys Stadium fireworks. Like they're a little bit, but all the trees grew up too high. But anyway, look at the house, and now it's like this huge apartment built. It's being built right now. It's like now I see this beautiful house, and the people at the end of the street have a really nice house, and then I see apartment building, and it's sad. I mean. whatever. I moved to Germantown in 1997. That's when I came to the area, and it was all rural. North of there. You know what I mean? I was in a brand new apartment building, and I was excited, but it goes up.
I took us down a rabbit hole there, didn't I?
I know. So read it.
So you guys have done a really good job in terms of, and this kind of segues from where we were, in terms of taking your carbon footprints away from what's going on, just, revitalizing and sticking with what we've been given, not creating more electric and all that stuff. Would you talk a little bit about how you're doing that?
Yeah, certainly. So we started back in 2011, and the first step we did is we switched all of our electric from just buying it from Potomac Edison, supplying the coal plants, that we actually put our money into wind farms in Texas instead. So we weren't purchasing electric from coal, we were purchasing electric from wind. So we had all wind power in 2011. Right then, I think maybe the next year, we installed a solar panel that moves and tracks the sun throughout the day, which provided us extra energy to power 2 electric vehicle chargers. So we installed that back in 2012, so over a decade now with those. But then the biggest thing has been in the last March we went live with just shy of 800 solar panels on the farm, which now provides 110% of the power we need. So actually, Potomac Edison pays us every year, which is fantastic.
And it's interesting is that a couple of years prior to that, we were building a new warehouse, and we were like, what we want to do is we want to position it so it will be a great candidate for solar. And then we spent a little bit more money on it to make the back much longer than the front. So it's not a middle peak like most roofs. It's a like 60-40 peak.
Okay.
So we were able to put a lot more solar panels on it than we would have if it was just a 50-50 peak. And then, look, I drive through, I go up to, towards Thurmont, and you pass this huge farm and it's all solar panels. We can't be taking all of the good farmland out of production to put in solar. No. We have to find a way to work around with the land we have and what is good farmland and what isn't. So we were behind our warehouse. We were able to find some land that was too steep of a slide slope to plant.
Oh, sure.
But we could put in solar panels.
Right.
So so they're at a funny angle, but the sun doesn't care.
Yeah.
So we put in the rest of them
putting that land to use
on a piece of property that we wouldn't necessarily use for vineyards to good use.
That's a good point to make. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
And we put a deposit on an electric tractor. It still hasn't been manufactured for us yet.
They're working on it.
They're working on it. I would say in the next year we'll probably have that.
Wow.
Will you have to drive it, or will it be remote control? We did Rocky Point Creamery last year, and they have a remote control that does their
Yeah, so it would it has an autonomous mode, so you'd be able to let it drive itself. So we see it as like a vineyard mower at first, until we can get it to do other things. Wow. So who knows? When you get something and it's a new toy, you figure out how to use it.
The sky's the limit. The sky's really the limit.
You have to learn them.
I mean, when you think back, just 10 years ago, who would have ever thought that we'd get to the point we are today? Right. Just with technology and things like that. I mean, it keeps happening faster and faster to make business better, and not only making business better, but doing it in a more sound, economically, ecological way.
Sure.
So,
most definitely.
But the things that we've implemented, make sense to us. We're not like totally extreme, but we do the things that make sense. Why would we have to pay for electric or have somebody else generate electric for us when we've got the sun right above us?
Yeah.
Things that make sense. In the vineyard, using vineyard practices that can reduce the amount of sprays you have to spray throughout the year. Just picking varieties that might be low or no spray varieties to plant in the vineyard. So why not? Why not?
Yeah.
We appreciate you thinking like that. I mean, as consumers,
And to be honest with you, you can always tweak and adjust after you try it. If it doesn't work the way you want it to, then you can tweak and adjust. You just leave yourself that little buffer, right?
We are not the type of people that we always need to grow, Cabernet Sauvignon. We can grow like this rosé is Champersan, which you can almost grow organically in the state of Maryland. Almost, not quite. But so we barely spray this variety, but it makes a great dry red, dry rosé, sweet red, port. I mean, we use it for tons of stuff, and it grows great, and we love it. So
I'm going to take us down a different rabbit hole for 30 seconds. Please don't be mad at me.
Go for it.
You and your family were just in Italy. Did you have wine over there?
Oh, every day.
I would hope so. And so it's
We
kind
learned
of
something. Here's a funny story, a quick story. So, you come to my house, I'll put a bottle of wine on the table. I say, hey, you want a beer? And you're like, yeah, I'll have a beer. So I'll give you a beer, your own bottle, your own can, whatever. So in Sicily, they gave you these little glasses. They were like juice glasses. And they had wine and beer and water on the table. And the beers were like big bottles, like a liter bottle of beer. And we're like, oh. So my son and I quickly called them share beers.
Share beers.
So we had wine, share beers, and water on the table. But their wine was delicious. We had lots of white wine. We were on the west coast side of Sicily, and their white wines were phenomenal.
those little glasses. When I was growing up, because I was born in an Italian family, my grandmother called those bicchierines, and that's all she used. And then my mother always had a bicchierine. Use the bicchierine. What the heck's a bicchierine? I don't know. And then as I got older, I get it.
And a lot of traditional, Italian families. That's what they use.
Yeah.
A piccanine, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So I learned something new today.
Yeah.
It's like
All
a
right.
little in Europe, the coffee.
Yeah.
We just went to Paris and we've been to Italy and a couple places. I call it I just got my thimble of coffee because there are coffees that they do espresso, and I always called it a thimble because
shoot it into your veins for as little as
Two
they're
so
years
small.
ago, we were in London, and my wife ordered a latte. And they just gave her a glass of warm milk. And I was like, that's
American.
all you ordered. You ordered a latte. That's what you ordered.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And they don't like it when you
Cafe
get
macchiato. That's what she meant to order.
Oh, right.
They don't like it when you order an Americano. They're
Right.
Well,
okay.
I'll get to the wine.
Okay, right. Let's talk wine. Let's talk wine. Tell me about some of the different types that you have. Get into, what's some of the favorite ones.
Sure. Yeah, we make about 40 different types of wines. Different.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we range anywhere from very dry reds, like what most of us are drinking here today. We have rosés, we have white wines, and then we do the exact opposite. We have a lot of sweet wines. We have wines that are 100% fruit, and we have dessert style wines. So wines that are either aged with alcohol, so like a port, or that are picked later, so they're a little sweeter, or wines that are even infused with chocolate. So we are all over the board. We like to think of ourselves as wine for all.
Yes.
So you can bring any group of friends here, anyone from. We had a lot of teachers that come here on the end of last day of school.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, teacher parties everywhere. And it's a really nice atmosphere to bring out lots of people with different tastes, because you're not all wed to having the same having had the same thing. Yeah. Some of the favorites. So let's say my favorite this time of year is our Reserve Albarino. Which is a Spanish variety that we grow here up on a hill that's on the south side of our property. And it is crisp and light and has these wonderful floral and melon notes with a little bit of like undertones of honeysuckle. It's very lovely. And our dry reds are very popular as well, but I would say our most popular probably end up being skipjack or our mango sangria. Those,
sangria. We forgot about sangria.
Sangria.
You spoke her language right there.
Yeah.
My summer language. Right?
And the other fun thing we do that she didn't mention is bubbly. We make a bunch of different sparkling.
Yeah, we have 5 different sparkling.
Yeah.
Well, 4 right now. We sold out of one. But,
right, so we sold out of the traditional
champagne method. Yeah, but we have 2 other dries and 2 other sweets.
Where the other ones are carbonated,
Yeah.
so they're forced carb.
When you get done picking the grapes, what essentially is the process? How long does it take before that stuff is bottled then for you? And I know it definitely changes with the different wines.
It does.
We've had some I'm ashamed to say, some, not really ashamed, but we've had some amateur winemaking that we've
like
done.
The kits, yeah.
The kit type of stuff.
And
but
it's quick. It's like 6 weeks. So
Yeah.
So I pick the grapes, kind of just in general, or maybe pick one variety. Like, what's the process?
Sure. So, in general, once the grapes are picked, they come into the cellar, and the first thing we have to do is turn them into juice. So, we use a couple different pieces of equipment. It starts out with a destemmer to take the stems off of the grapes.
You don't bring Italian women in to stomp them?
We do not. No, that's the next part. It's called a crusher. So the crusher does crush those berries into what we call at that point it's must. It's a mixture of skins and seeds and juice. And then from there it goes into our press. And it's just one big press. It kind of presses the skins and the seeds against these slits and all the juice falls out. So at that point we have juice. It looks a lot like your jug of cloudy apple cider. So don't think crystal clear. Don't think Welch's grape juice. No. We're not there yet.
Right.
We're very dirty
And don't
juice.
think bright colors either. So whites are not like bright white, and reds are not like that
vibrant
reds.
Right.
They go through a mechanical process, so they're a little beaten up and
Sure.
They're dull right now, but over the course of fermentation
it cleans it up.
Right. So the next thing is that we add yeast. And so yeast, for those who don't know, is actually a mushroom. It's in the same family as a fungus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a bacteria. It's actually its own kingdom. It's called a fungus. It's the same as mushrooms. So it's just a little one-celled
fungus ever.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Or we wouldn't be here.
No, not at all.
So we add that, and that converts the sugar in the juice into alcohol. So that's what yeast does for us. And so that process is the fermentation process. That lasts for about 10 days or so. Everything else I just described happens in an afternoon. It's very quick. Yeah. And then 10 days for fermentation. And then after that, we'll clarify it through a couple of filtrations. Just let it settle. Like that jug of cloudy apple cider. Once you let it settle, it kind of clarifies. So the fastest from there, the quickest that a wine can get to bottle is probably about 6 to 8 months. There's a couple of other processes that happen to smooth out the wine, allow aging to happen. It kind of softens tannins and mouthfeel and structure and brings out some aromatics. But for some of our red wines, they need a longer period of time to age just because of the structure. And that can age in our cellar for up to 2 years. And then after that, we'll bottle it. And then it could be what they call bottle conditioned or bottle aged for another 2 years or so before it's released.
That's
so
big time.
It takes, once you put a grape in the ground, and then it's 3 years before you get grapes. And then and then
Really?
Yeah, and then after that, say you've got 4 years before you're ready to sell the wine. So it could be almost a 10-year commitment from the time you decide to plant the grape to the time you sell them. Now that's
the first bottle.
The first bottle. It can be that long.
So all the rain, like how is that good or bad? And I mean, you have droughts.
I'm glad we're at a wooden table.
Yeah.
It really just depends.
So we planted a couple thousand Pinot Gris this year. So that's what drought hurts, the baby plants.
Yeah. That makes
so,
sense too.
It slows down the growth of the bigger plants, and it'll make the berries smaller if the drought is consistent. And we're looking for, not big, fat, plump berries. We're looking for kind of smaller berries that, and the plant is struggling just a little bit to make it through the fall and the ripening process. It seems that when a plant struggles just a little bit, it puts a little bit more energy into the fruit and gives you a little bit more of a different characteristic to the fruit.
Yeah.
So a lot of the true terroir or that local vibe is going to come through your fruit a little bit more in a drought year than it would in a rainy year. In a rainy year, it's just trying to get rid of the water. It's pushing it everywhere, and it like fills your berries, and we're not going to make the best dry reds in a very
wet climate.
Right.
It's good.
2018 was the worst year probably that we've ever had on the farm. It rained every day almost. This a little thunder shower, a point, like I think 2 days ago we
you're
got
measuring rainfall and stuff for
0.08,
sure,
and so those little bits
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
okay.
It's, the roots are can be 15 feet down. So you get the top a little wet, and it's really not affecting the bottom.
15 feet down the roots.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Grapevine
and probably
roots,
even,
so
Yeah, I told you I was going to learn a lot.
Yeah, they're very resilient.
So I can come in and grab a charcuterie board. I can come in this beautiful indoor or out. Do you have a lot of outdoor seating? Mm-hmm. But there's some taste testing options, and you just don't have you have more than. I don't know, like just let me taste these 6 wines.
Right,
Can you tell us about a lot of your options?
Sure.
You have a lot more options than many places.
So when the pandemic happened, it forced us to shut down, and we kind of evaluated what our experiences looked like for guests. And one of the things that we realized is that we could offer a lot more than we were. So we actually expanded experiences through the entire pandemic. So one of the easy ones that everyone knows is your standard bar tasting. You come up, you want to taste 5 wines, go to the bar, right? That's easy. It takes about 15 minutes. But then during the pandemic, when we weren't allowed to have people at the bar, we introduced what we call the private seated reserve tastings. And that would be in the space that we're sitting in right now, our barrel lounge.
This is an awesome
This is
space,
a
by
fun
the way.
Thanks. This is the
There's
bottom.
like barrels and tables and it's
so
really
the
cool.
barn is over 100 years old, probably 130.
30, something like that, yeah.
And we are kind of in the original part of the barn that was the dairy parlor. So
You built that out because I'm looking at this.
So we
They just renovated.
We just renovated.
They renovated. It's not
So-
a new build.
Yeah, it's all
this
the
is
same.
Just part of it.
My draw.
You're wrong.
We're,
Sorry.
we milk casks instead of cows.
Instead of cows.
So
Okay.
it's a lot cleaner operation.
And they don't run away at
And
night.
it smells a lot better.
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah, so we have that private tasting. We also, this time of year, we have a fantastic experience called the Wines and the Vines Tour. And so you get on we have just got this fantastic luxury golf cart that has a table and the seats swing around.
Oh my gosh.
And so 5 people can get on this luxury
It's a
golf cart.
Okay, we're booking
six-person
that
golf
next
cart.
month.
Yeah, we're
That's
very
fun.
excited to have this for our guests. So it's about an hour and a half tour. You go out to the vineyards and try wines next to the grapes that grew them. Learn about the vineyard, learn about how the grapes are being grown, have a nice snack board while you're out there, and then come back into the winery afterwards to do a tour and a little tasting while inside the winery. So that's one of the premier experiences that we offer this time of year. And then during the winter, we offer a little bit more in-depth winery tour with a seated tasting in our barrel room. So this is the barrel lounge, but then where we actually have most of our casks and the tower high is further back in the winery, and there's a seated tasting back there.
That's amazing. Your description of what you do, the actual golf cart and everything is just amazing. They need to get over here from Bordeaux and learn about this because we've done that Bordeaux tour. And as interesting as that was, like that just you add a whole nother element to. I don't want to say the entertainment piece of it, but it is engaging.
It's education.
It's one thing to sit in here and enjoy a Cab Franc, but if you could go out and see the views at the tops of the hills where the grapes are growing and just enjoy the glass
That's
of
really
Cab
cool.
Franc out there, it's just a whole different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at about the peaks of our property are about 600 feet of elevation, and from there you can see the mountain range past Frederick. It's really cool.
It's
Wow,
beautiful.
Grandpa set you guys up. Your dad set you guys up. He set you up well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about having events here, renting it out. What's it
Definitely
entail?
some weddings,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
we know that. But talk a little bit about that. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who are just chomping at the bit now to get over here after listening. So how can they rent the place? I mean, this room in and of itself is amazing for them to come and taste that. But
Yeah, so the top of our bank barn, the top floor is called our Biso Hall. Bistro is one of the names of our wines, and that's our Bistro Banquet Hall. It seats about 200 people. It's about 4,000 square feet, somewhere around there. 4,500 square feet. So we do weddings up there. We do celebrations of life. We do corporate events. We do birthday parties. We do engagement parties. So we have that space available for rental, and then we also have one of kind of our original tasting rooms that we call the Baccioni room, also available, and that seats about 40 or so, maybe 35, 40. So better for those smaller, intimate, maybe bachelorette parties or bridal showers or things to that extent.
How about bachelor parties?
Right.
We
Bachelor
went to a
parties,
total different direction there.
We did.
It's
Yeah.
not always about the women. Remember the men.
Yeah, I like wine too.
Then you have some events here. I know the reggae one.
That's
Two
this
of them,
weekend.
right? Summer and fall.
Is it this weekend?
Yeah, this weekend. So we have a Caribbean festival in May, and then we have 2 reggae festivals. We have the one coming up this weekend, and then we have an October reggae festival for Columbus Day weekend. And they're just, it started, and we're not sure when it started. We're trying to
remember.
pin it down, but we think the original reggae festival, which is the 3rd weekend in July, which is this weekend, started probably about 37, 38 years ago. And people would just come out and hang out on the lawn, and reggae music is playing, and it's just like this awesome, like, relaxing.
Your dad was probably into Bob Marley, let's face it.
Well, thank God he was.
Yeah, I mean,
So So I'm gonna come out this weekend for what's gonna be there. Food.
Yeah, so
So we have music, like
so we have 2 live bands each day, Saturday and Sunday. We have like 7 or 8 food vendors plus 30 artisans displaying their crafts. We have
great.
19 wine tastings that are all included in the price of admission, plus a take-home festival glass as well.
Right, and beer and cider.
Oh, that's true, and beer and
There you
cider
go,
from
beer
the
and
brewery
cider.
next door. Yep.
There's a brewery next door.
and
I noticed there was an
Tickets
Uber
for
and
that?
Lyft area. I was looking at the map, or I don't know. There was a.
So we do have drop-off and pickups
That's
for
great.
Uber.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it's
that's-
so the traffic is a little congested on those days, so it
Sure.
actually meets at the split down there. So
great.
Kind of down by the
so
pond.
they
Yeah.
don't have to come all the way up and get the people. The people go down there, wait
That's
under a
great.
tent for them, and then they pack up their stuff and on their way.
Great.
if I take Uber helicopters,
There's a landing pad right over.
So for tickets for this weekend, we are actually all sold out for Saturday. We still have tickets, general admission tickets for Sunday available. We also offer a VIP experience, including additional tastings, indoor seating, and indoor restrooms. But those tickets are unfortunately all sold out at this point as well.
But
So
there's another one in October.
another one in
So
October,
this-
and those will
yeah,
go on
that's what
sale in
people-
August.
but there
So-
is general admission available for this weekend.
for Sunday.
Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, for Sunday, and anyone can find tickets by going to our website.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds like a good thing to me.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys got to be collabing, partnershiping out in this community and other communities. Talk a little bit about that.
Most certainly. So we have wide distribution as far as collaboration goes. So we are represented in most liquor stores in the state of Maryland. Man, I can't even tell you how many we're in. Probably over 900.
don't have to list them.
Over 900 accounts.
Okay.
It's a lot. And so, as far as finding us, you can find us out there. You can come to the winery directly, but we also collaborate in-house or in our tasting room with a lot of local cheese and crackers. So there's Whispering Breeze out of Union Bridge that we collaborate with, along with Atwater's, and we recently started a collaboration with, it's just escaping me. It'll come back to me.
We'll edit it in.
Yeah.
It'll be in the show notes.
I know.
Well,
we will
Frederick
start
County-
promoting them.
Frederick County is
And
an
everybody-
awesome county, and we have so many things right here in the county that people don't realize. Our port wine is finished. We take like the things that don't ferment all the way, or they fermented all the way, but we're not using them for wine, so we call them tank bottoms and whatever. And we take that and we send it to McClintock's, and we have that distilled, and we bring it back and we make ports and things like that. So it's our own spirits that they're making for us that we bring back and use in our own products.
I gotta be honest
What
with
do
you.
you do?
Go ahead, hon.
Before I forget, what do you do with the grape skins and everything that's
It goes
Like,
back out to the field for
fields
fertilization.
for fertilization. Okay, I figured. I knew you were recycling.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so- like at Utz Potato Chip Factory and their factory. When they wash the potatoes, there's like potato water, and they give it to farms for the pig. The pigs drink it.
yeah.
You know, I knew you had to do something.
Yeah.
We do that tour every year.
I'm
That's
sorry.
on our summer field
I'm
trip.
all into learning about it.
That's
Who would have
cool.
thought there's recycled?
Yeah, it is. It's actually
potato
kind of
water?
neat, and it's a walking.
But
tour.
instead of dumping
Cool.
or whatever, you know, they're repurposing and they give it away. So I thought that was nice.
I think we're really fortunate to be in this county, though. You know, you guys have been pretty much born and raised here. We moved here 25 plus years ago. But I mean, not every place, and people have heard me say this 1,000 times, but not every place has that continuity amongst everybody, wanting to help each other out,
collaborating,
working
like,
together,
yeah.
collaborating. And I think it thrives in Frederick County for that specific reason.
Right.
You know?
If you have to drop a pin anywhere, this is a good place to drop one, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
But there's other wineries, and you're not like bad mouthing them. You know, like that's the part
Right.
that we
No.
love.
Actually,
you know, and
other
you-
wineries actually help wineries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own twist
we've
too.
been-
Like you have
we've-
something special.
We've
different.
become more of a destination in Mount Airy here because there's so many wineries right near us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is nice to have the
That's
other
true,
wineries
yeah.
in our backyard,
Most certainly.
and we're all friends with them. We all get along.
When we walked in today, they were speaking of a guest today, and he is going up the East Coast and stopping at a winery, and he stopped here.
Oh,
cool. It was really cool to listen,
awesome.
just so you know.
Well, let's give them all the information. I'll bet you this is Melissa's gig right here, though. Let's give them the website,
Sure.
an email, any all social media, because I know there's just, yeah.
There's a lot, yeah. So our website is Linganore Wines, that's plural.com. So you can find us there. Or just type in Linganore Winery to Google and it will find us for you. Email, a good one for that, if anyone has general questions, is our info. So info@linganorewines.com. And I believe all of our social media handles right now are at Linganore Wine Cellars.
Nice,
That's
easy.
perfect.
Nice,
Doesn't
and
make it
easy.
any easier, does it?
Yep. Yeah, that one's very straightforward.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining
Well,
us. This
that
was
was-
great.
yeah.
I learned a lot more than I thought I could learn. I knew I was going to learn a lot, so I appreciate it. And thanks for all you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thank
with
you.
everything.
Thanks
a
for,
lot.
Thanks for
yeah,
coming
this
out.
is fantastic. I learned a lot.
Yeah, well,
Wonderful.
we should go try some more, right?
You know, I was thinking I've had a red, now I might need a white to try.
Perfect.
It's afternoon.
Now you know all there is to know about Linganore Wine Cellars after listening to Melissa and Eric talk. Hey, their website is linganorewines.com and their address 13601 Glissans Mill Road, and that's in Mount Airy, Maryland. Their phone 410-795-6432 or 301-831-5889. You can also email them at info@linganorewines.com. Their hours of operation, Monday through Wednesday, 10 to 5, Thursday, 10 to 8, Friday and Saturday, 10 to 9, and Sundays, 12 to 6. You can check them out on social media at Instagram at Linganore Wine Cellars. Follow, connect with us here on the Steeples and Peoples podcast by checking out our website where we have pictures, all our episodes, and merch. Go on there and get yourself some merch and help spread the word about the Steeples and Peoples podcast. That website is steeplesandpeoples.com. Join our Facebook page at Steeples_Peoples. Join the conversation on Twitter. You can also reach out to us on Snapchat. Both of those are Steeples Peoples. And follow us on Instagram and watch our TikToks at Steeples and Peoples. Feel free to let us know if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for future guests by emailing us at steeplesandpeoples@gmail.com. Thanks to Steve Medley for doing our voice intro and outro.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us to find out what's going on in all things Frederick County, Maryland. And join our Facebook group to enter our weekly giveaways at Steeples and Peoples.